For a while now, we've gotten used to AI as this kind of brilliant oracle, right? You ask it a question, you get an answer. But what happens when we go beyond just answering and actually empower AI to act for you? Okay, let's get into this because we are right in the middle of a massive shift, moving from an AI that just predicts things to an AI that can actually autonomously get things done.
And this quote, it just nails the whole idea. We're not just making language models bigger or faster anymore, we're actually evolving them into something useful in the real world, agents that can do stuff, becoming active players in our software and in our daily workflows. So here's the fundamental problem we're trying to solve. Our AI today is incredibly smart, but it's passive. It's totally trapped behind the screen. It can write a perfect email suggesting flight options, but it can't actually go and book that complicated multi-city trip for you. Nope, it needs a human to guide every single click. So the big question is, how do we finally break it out of that box?
Well, the answer is by building something we call an AI agent. And to really get how it works, we've got to look at its three core components. First up, we have the model. You can just think of this as the agent's brain. This is that powerful language model that does all the heavy cognitive lifting. It understands what you want, it reasons about the steps it needs to take, and it makes the decisions. It's really the source of all the agent's smarts. But, a brain isn't much use if it doesn't have hands to interact with the world. And that's exactly where tools come in. These are things like APIs and databases that give the agent its capabilities. So think of an API for booking flights, another one for checking the weather, or a database for looking up customer info. Tools are what connect the agent's thinking to actual real-world action. And what connects the brain and the hands? That's the orchestration layer. Think of this as the agent's central nervous system. It's the manager running the entire show. It takes your big, complex goal, asks the brain to break it down into smaller steps, figures out which tool to use for each step. And, this is critical, it gives the agent a memory to keep track of its progress and learn from what it's done. It's what allows the agent to handle complicated multi-step problems without getting lost. Okay, so we've got the brain, the hands, and the nervous system. Now let's see how they all work together to go from a simple request all the way to a finished task. It all pretty much boils down to this continuous 5-step loop. First, it gets the mission from you. Then, it scans the scene, pulling in context from its memory and looking at the tools it has. Next, it thinks through a plan of attack. After that, it takes action by using a specific tool. And finally, it observes the result, learns from it, and repeats the whole cycle until the mission is complete. This think, act, observe loop is the basic rhythm of every single AI agent. Let's make this a little more concrete with a super simple customer support example. A basic chatbot might just get stuck on this, right? It might say, I can't find that information. But an agent approaches this with a real strategy. The key thing to see here is that the agent doesn't just react. It actually goes into its think it through phase and builds a plan. It reasons that, okay, first I need to identify the order in our own database. Then I need to use a shipping API to track it, and only then can I put it all together and report a complete answer back. This ability to reason and chain actions together is what makes these agents so incredibly powerful. Now, what's really cool is how scalable this whole idea is. We can go from a single agent doing one task, like a soloist, to a whole team of specialized agents all working together, kind of like a full orchestra. This comparison really shows you the leap in what's possible. A level 1 agent, it's pretty simple. It uses one tool to answer a question, like, what was last night's score? But a level 3 system, it can handle a massive project, like launch our new headphones product. In that case, you might have a project manager agent that delegates tasks. One agent researches competitors, another one drafts all the marketing copy, and a third one builds the website. It's a team effort. So here's the most important point. We are moving way beyond simple workflow automation. When you give an agent clear instructions, reliable tools, and a good memory, it stops acting like a dumb script and starts functioning more like a genuinely adaptable member of your team. But, of course, building and managing this new kind of digital workforce, well, it brings a whole new set of challenges for developers and companies. This quote just perfectly captures the shift in thinking that's required. A developer isn't a bricklayer anymore, writing out explicit line-by-line instructions. Instead, they're becoming more like a director. They set the scene with the right goals, they give the agent the right tools, and then they guide this autonomous actor to get the job done. This new way of doing things demands totally new disciplines. We need something called agent ops because unlike normal code, agents aren't always predictable. We need new ways to watch and manage them out in the wild. We also need agent identity because an agent making decisions on its own needs its own secure login and permissions, totally separate from a user. And of course, we need defense in depth, using a mix of hard-coded rules for problems we know about and smart AI guardrails to catch weird stuff to make sure these systems operate safely.
Which, brings us to this final, pretty provocative question. As we build these systems that are more and more capable, more and more autonomous, are we just making a fancier version of automation, or are we actually building the foundation for our future digital colleagues? The answer, whatever it is definitely going to reshape how we all work, create, and innovate for decades to come.